Inspiring Entrepreneur Startup Bootcamp by IMACX Studios. IMACX is an open innovation platform focused on creating a sustainable innovation and entrepreneurial ecosystem that works at the intersection of technology and society. It is an initiative of IIIDB and the IIIDB Innovation Center. I would now ask Mr. Karthik Kittu, the Chief Innovation Officer of IIID Bangalore, to introduce our speaker for today. Over to you, Mr. Karthik.
Thanks. Thank you, Sumuk, and good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining us in, and special thanks to Khadim for accommodating us in your busy schedule. Thank you so much. A sneak peek into Khadim's profile. Khadim Batti is co-founder and CEO of the leading digital adoption platform, Whatfix. Khadim has 20 plus years of experience in leading technology teams. Prior to Whatfix, he was heading the deep technology domain. Prior to Whatfix, he was heading the deep packet inspection and BI product portfolio for Hawaii Central Research Division. Khadim has passionately educated and mentored aspiring entrepreneurial talent in technology for over a decade now. He currently acts as a mentor to 25 plus entrepreneurs, and he holds a master's in information technology from the International Institute of Information Technology, Bangalore, and bachelor's in electrical engineering from the University of Bombay. Very, very proud moment for all of us because he's a alum of IIITB and inspiration to many in the entrepreneurial field. And all I could say is thank you so much for joining us in. I hope I think most of the students are looking forward to the session, and we hope that all of them learn. On that note, over to you, Khadim. Thank you so much.
Hey, thanks, Karthik. So thanks for inviting me and giving me this opportunity to present. So shall I share my screen? Yeah, I think you're able to see my screen.
Yes, sir, we can see.
Awesome. So actually, Karthik, I did mention that I don't have any slides and all, but I was just looking at so I found one slide which is 5 years old. I thought might be having some relevance here, and then I'll add a couple of slides of the latest ones. Yes. It will just help us to guide. So basically, how well a structure is, I will go through the journey of our entrepreneurship and how we decided on the concept, how do we narrow down the concept, what kind of traction we got, and how did we iterate to build an MVP and then finally scale the product, right? So that would give a practical view on building a product and getting that minimum viable product, and how do we iterate in the market. And the last few minutes, maybe 20-30 minutes, we can leave it for interaction, like people want to ask questions. And in between also, let's make it interactive in case anybody has questions. I'm open to discuss and debate, right?
Perfect.
And I always say please don't hesitate. There's no stupid or dumb question. There's always a question, right? It's all about perspective. So feel free to ask any question. Don't hesitate. Okay, sure. Let's start. So I'll quickly give a little background. So Karthik has given some background. So we are two co-founders, myself and Varak Kumar, who is my other co-founder. Right now, Varak Kumar is relocated to Bay Area, US for last couple of years. So we both started our journey by working in Huawei Telecom for 10 years. So I joined Huawei from campus right after IIIT Bangalore. And I worked building a BI product line in Huawei. I started with a team of 4 people and gradually built the whole product for almost 100 people, leading 100 people team there. And the team included R&D support, design, QA and all. But it was primarily engineering, delivery and engineering. There was no sales and marketing aspects involved there. So I was more on the engineering side. So that kind of exposure I never had before I started the company. Right? So we decided, after working for 10 years, me and my co-founder thought, okay, I think we have built enough product. Let's jump into entrepreneurship. We have enough exposure. Let's quit our job and start doing this, right? So we were pretty highly optimistic that okay, we'll build something great because we have enough experience of building the product. And typically, our product, what we were building in Huawei was we built a couple of products from scratch, and with a team of 40, 50, and later on 100 people. So we knew how to build a complex BI systems and complex data analytics system and so on. So we were highly positive that we will be able to build something great. And we left in towards second half of 2010. I think it's almost 10 years journey now. We started a product with a product called Search Enabler. So the the product was supposed to basically help small businesses to improve their social media and search visibility. So if you just go back 10 years, social media was at the inflection point. Every small businesses wanted to come online and get their online traffic and mind share, right? So we thought we can build something to help small businesses to get a lot more online traffic, get more attention in social media so that a business can see ROI. Now, coming from the experience of working in a very large enterprise companies like Huawei, what we thought was actually we cannot go to market until we have a lot of features in our product, right? So we continuously kept on adding features for almost 8 to 10 months, right? Before going to market, almost like for the first year, we added like tons of features in the product because we were always scared, like, okay, if I go to market, I don't know what kind of feedback I will get, right? People would be disappointed with my product. I need to add 2 more feature. I need to add 2 more feature. We kept on adding continuously for almost a year. Another reason was, one was the fear that we would have a rejection. The other fear was like there was some competition here and there globally. We thought we need to match feature to feature of those competition before we get to the market, right? So we were never confident, and we kept on adding a lot of features in the product. And finally, what we realized after we launched our product, after almost like 1 year, adding, let's say 60, 70 features, when we went, we were getting traction. Like some of the people were coming to the website, they were signing Whatfix, signing Search Enabler. They were trying for a couple of days and they were dropping out. Some of them were coming up, they were dropping out in the first day itself. Few people were trying for a month or so and then they were discontinuing it. When we started understanding the usage pattern, we realized that to get the real benefit out of the product, they need to use minimum 6 to 7 key features, and after that they will see the ROI. And if they don't use those key features, the ROI would not be seen, and they will not find the product beneficial. But to get to those utilization of 6 to 7 features, they had to go through so much of clutter because we had so many products built. So what we decided to make sure that they start using those features, we started throwing or removing some of the features which we thought are unnecessary. And gradually, when we kept on removing the features, by the time we got some traction, by the time we saw the people start using the product sufficiently, we had almost deleted 40% of our product, what we had built initially. Right? So if we would have followed a proper structure where we would have built very lightweight couple of features or a mock-ups, and we would have gone and demonstrated to the potential customers, got their feedback and started building. So that's what we typically call iteration or validation, right? We would not have wasted that 6 to 8 months of time of building this whole stuff, right? So that was the biggest mistake what we did, the first one, while coming from large enterprise, getting scared to go to market because we were afraid that, okay, competition would, people, when they compare with the competition, how will they react to our features? We were afraid of backlash, that we would get a bad name. But when you're so small, when you're so early, actually, don't worry, no one is watching you, right? Just go to market with few features, go to market maybe with the mock-up, just try to validate whether somebody is going to use this, how they're going to use this, whether they're going to pay. And maybe if you want to, if the market is already cluttered, identify that uniqueness using which you can actually compete, right? So that was our very, very early mistake what we had. Once we resolved that problem of initial onboarding, we started getting customers. And as I was mentioning earlier, that our target customers were small businesses, right? A small business of 20 people, 30 people, mom and pop shops who have online presence, and so on, right? Now, when these people come start using our product, they need a ROI in terms of better traffic. And how we could achieve that? We were giving them recommendations that, okay, you change 3 things in your website, search engine will read it in a better way and you will get better traffic. Do this XYZ on social media, you will get a more attention. So we were giving them a bunch of recommendations. Now, these recommendations, from our perspective, from our assumption and hypothesis, was they were simple enough for a business owner to implement. But that was the second hypothesis we went wrong. those recommendations were not good enough for business owners to themselves implement. They expected an expert from our side to help them implement, or they wanted to delegate some service company who could do it, right? So a lot of people came back to us saying that, can you help me implement this? And I can pay you additional for that. So if we would have taken that money and we would have started implementing for them, we would have become like a small service company. And since this was targeted to small businesses, we were looking for hundreds of thousands of small business customers, each one paying us $20, $30, $40 a month. Now for $20, $30, $40 a month, we can't help them with a high touch, or basically with a phone call, or with getting online and helping them to implement this recommendation. Because if we do that, there won't be any unit economics positive for us to scale the company. Because if you have one person to support 5 to 10 customers for implementing this, the salary cost, the support cost, all the other costs would not even be recovered by the $30, $40 monthly fee for one customer. So with that kind of a price point, we were looking at our product to be do it yourself with a very, very low touch or a no touch model. Now that was the hypothesis which went wrong. Customers were expecting higher touch, customers were expecting more support, but with the price point and the segment which we were targeting, which was small business, we cannot do that. We cannot afford that. If we wanted to do that and we increase the price to a few $100s per month, these customers would go off, and then we might have to go to different market segment, which is mid-market and enterprise, where there was already strong competition. So we started seeing a lot of customers who came in, they started using the product for 3-4 months, and they were not able to utilize it effectively. They started churning. They started leaving the platform even after paying for 3-4 months. And that's what we realized, that, okay, to make it a truly usable system, usable product which can scale to hundreds of thousands of users globally, we need to make it true do it yourself kind, DIY, right? And how do we make it DIY? To make it DIY, the recommendations what we were giving them, we need to ensure somehow that the business owners implement it by themselves. They don't have to rely on third party. They don't have to rely on us. And to make them implement by themselves, we had to either make those recommendations so obvious, or we have to handhold them in a way which is technologically scalable. So we almost worked for like a year on identifying various solutions how we can handhold those users. So we created video kind of tutorials, like, okay, this is the recommendation one, and this is the video how you implement that. It didn't work. Nobody wanted to spend that much time. We tried creating a lot of tutorials, PDFs. Nobody was reading that. It was helping maybe improve by 10%, 20%, not much. We tried creating plugins in WordPress, Joomla, Magento, so that the plugins can help them implement by some clicks. But we realized that was not scalable because there are so many permutation combination of those. So while doing this whole experiment of how do we help them implement those recommendations, one of the solution which came as a byproduct and which resonated was actually giving a recommendation and telling them, okay, let me help you fix this recommendation. When they click that button, it will open their WordPress panel or a Joomla panel or their website and show them step by step. This is the problem you have to fix and how. Like if you want to fix a metadata or meta tag, it will take them to WordPress panel, ask them to go to the specific page, show them this is the meta tag where you need to fix, suggest them what to fix, and finally ask them to save. So basically it's like a GPS on an application helping them step by step to perform an activity and complete that task, right? So that's what was the technology which we built and which came out as what we are working today as Whatfix, right? So it was a byproduct. It was a feature which we created to help our customers of our previous product, Search Enabler. So when we created Whatfix, we showed it to several of our users. And when most of the users came back saying that this is terrific, this is as good as somebody standing on my shoulder or near my shoulder and telling me what to do on my screen, is as good as technology like somebody helping me over the shoulder, right? So the point got validated that this can help. The next problem statement was, can we create all the possible recommendations we wanted to give using Whatfix technology, what we had built? That would have meant like WordPress had several versions. Each WordPress had several plugins. Each plugins had several versions again. So the combination permutation of those versions of plugins and WordPress underlying platform would have meant that for WordPress itself, we had to create maybe few thousands of Whatfix based fixes. If I extend that to Joomla, if I extend it to Magento, it would be few thousand more. Now coding those would be really very huge and Herculean task. So we said, okay, how do we circumvent that again? So we created a private community. So communities like SlideShare or a YouTube, where anybody can come and create this interactive FAQs or a support recommendation, support fixes, which can be used by people to fix. So we thought we'll crowdsource it, right? So we created a small UI, Chrome extension, where anybody can click Chrome extension, open any website, and start creating this fixes, which is the recommendation steps, and can share it for their friends, for their for their potential customers, or anyone whom they want to help. And we thought people will start contributing, and we will be able to create for our customers as well. This worked well. Within 6 months, we launched this in sometime June 2013. So before that, all 2-3 years was actually iterating on Search Enabler. When we launched this in June 2013, within 6 to 8 months, almost 700 to 800 people registered in our community, and more than 1,000 support fixes were created on several portals, several websites, like how do I use my Google Map? How do I use AdWords? Or how do I use XYZ, or any kind of applications online, right? So it got validated that this technology works and it can help. Many of those community users came back to us asking, can I use this Whatfix for my customer? I want to include in my website. But since it's the community version, whatever support article or support FAQs or support steps which I create using Whatfix, they are publicly available to everyone. I don't want to make it available to everyone. I want to keep it private as part of my post sign up login page. I also want to customize it to my look and feel. I also want some basic analysis, like how people are using it. Now, all those stuff were not there. So we said, okay, currently we have only community version. And then those people started saying, we are ready to pay to use this in our application, in our website. So that's the point we realized that Whatfix actually can actually has some legs where we can actually monetize it. It has a potential of getting it monetized. And since we were already running Search Enabler with 60-70 customers, and now some people coming back saying that, okay, with Whatfix, we are ready to buy and pay. We were into dilemma because we were 2 founders, 2 people, and it's very hard to run 2 products at the same time. Right now, Search Enabler was little evolved, whereas Whatfix was very scrappy, very basic version, just as a feature of our previous product. But then we realized that Whatfix is something new and innovative. We don't know exactly what's the market size, but it looks something which can disrupt the way the training and support is conducted today, because everything is moving on demand, whether it use Netflix for watching movie, buying something on Amazon or Uber. So why not training and support, which has to be contextual inside the application when you're using? Whatfix can actually disrupt that. So we thought, okay, it's worth a bet. So we debated for a few days. We decided to shut down Search Enabler because we thought we cannot do both. We shut down Search Enabler. We refunded to a lot of our customers, or gave the data whatever they wanted, and then we started focusing only on Whatfix. And that's how the Whatfix journey started. I'll pause here if any questions are there. Okay, there are a couple of in the chat. Yeah.
Nothing as of now, sir. Please continue. Thank you.
Okay, awesome. So yeah, so that's how we started the Whatfix. So we, as I was mentioning, we started with community version, and okay, yeah. So again, now what happens? Like we already had good learning from previous product, that Search Enabler, where we built for almost a year, And then we had to throw away 30 to 40% of the features to even make sure that basic onboarding happens of our potential customers, and they are able to utilize and see some ROI, or at least they get properly onboarded. So we didn't want to repeat that mistake in Whatfix. Like, we build so many stuff, and then again with our assumption, and when we see that customers, when they actually sign up, they don't use effectively. So we decided that okay, we'll discontinue Search Enabler. We'll start extending Whatfix, but we will not build any feature unless customer confirms that they need this feature, and it is confirmed by at least 4 to 5 customers. Till then, we're just going to show them the mockups, or we just show them the landing pages. This is what it is. See the reaction, see if there's a confirmation, then only we start building it. So we wanted to now validate first. In Search Enabler case, it was build first and then validate. In Whatfix case, what we decided was we first validate and then we build. And that worked. What we did was, now since 3 or 4 people confirmed that they want to use whatever community model we had on a Whatfix. So that came like a prototype for us. We assumed that, okay, now to pay, people would need analytics, people would need customization, people would need some kind of a private features. So we said, okay, let's create a landing page. We'll list down these features and describe what our product is about, and start circulating to potential customers and see whether they are ready to buy and ready to pay for this. So we created 2 or 3 different type of landing pages. Landing pages are nothing but a page with describing your product, describing some of the features, and having some kind of a sign up or a sign up or a button or something, right? So we created 2 or 3 different variations. My co-founder colleague started identifying potential customer list. So we thought every SaaS company in India can actually be potential customers, because they can make use of Whatfix to onboard their customers. So we thought, okay, let's start sending them emailers and see whether they can start using Whatfix. So my co-founder started making the list of SaaS companies, started collecting the emails. I started taking those emails, start reading about those SaaS companies, and start creating a personalized email for each founder or each product owner of those companies, saying, okay, this is how today you're using FAQs, this is how you're supporting your customers, this is how you're onboarding customers. This is an example how you can do it in a better way with a better ROI. Almost like within a month, we shot around 500 emails to different companies, early stage, mid stage in India, primarily SaaS and some consumer. We got around 25 to 30 responses with saying, okay, we need to learn more about this. We immediately started giving them demonstration based on some mockups, some of our community features, a combination. And we used to present in a way saying that, okay, this is the product, this is how it's going to help you, and this is 100. We're going to charge you $100. We're going to charge you $200 per month. We used to bounce off the price. We used to bounce off some of the mockup and see the reaction of the potential people who were trying to get the demo, whether they are getting excited with this feature, whether they see the value of those features. Are they okay with $200 price? Are they okay with $100 price? Are they okay with $250 price? So within that 3 months, we validated our features. We validated some of the price point, and around 2 to 3 customers confirmed in that particular quarter that they're ready to pay. First customer, I remember paying us $1,000 for a year. The second one around $1,800 or something like that. And when the first customer signed up, some of the features which were in landing pages were not even ready for us. So we told them, okay, we have those features into testing phase. We are going to do QA, and we're going to come back to you in just give us a couple of weeks. And we went back, we stopped the marketing part, and we started building those features. And within 2 weeks, we delivered to the first customer, and then we started getting a couple of more customers on that. So that's how we did the initial validation, or you can say that was our initial how we iterated quickly to build the minimum viable product, which had the only feature set which is required for a customer to get an ROI or customer to confirm that, okay, this can solve their problem and they're ready to pay for it. I think that's what I would say. That's how we got our first MVP. I think after launching in this paid version in February, March of 2014, 5 to 6 months, we got around 8 to 10 customers who were paying. And I think that's where we got our first MVP and a validation for Whatfix. think there's a question here.
No, sir, no questions. Please continue.
Okay. Yeah. So, okay. Now going forward from here. So we got our basic product MVP with 8 to 10 customers. Me and my co-founder, as I mentioned, we were working in Huawei Telecom, which was a telecom company, primarily Asia focused. Most of our customers were again Asia focused in Asia as well. Now, when we got this our first validation of this 8-9 customers, most of the customers were in India. We realized that okay, if we want to scale this company, we have to build this company for global market, specifically targeting the developed world, that is US and Europe. So there was, at that point, there was an accelerator called GSF. So they were taking the cohort into Bay Area for a couple of months. So we joined that in towards the end of 2014. We went to Bay Area for a couple of months. That was the first time when we went to US. We started bouncing off this Whatfix, some of the angels there, some of the potential customers locally there, and we got a couple of local commitments in terms of customers, one health company, and so that's where our international client base started getting built. Like we had a couple of customers there. We also started getting some interest in terms of investments. So we got a couple of angel investors committed to invest $25,000-$30,000 in Whatfix. We got that commitment. GSF committed to follow on a larger amount of check. We came back, we did the demo day here, and we were able to raise, I think towards January 2015, around $1 million from Helion and some of the angel investors. So by that time, I think we had 15-20 customers. On an average, they were paying us a couple of $1,000s a year. And the product was basically validated. Most of these customers were small businesses, that is 510 to 200 people size company, right? So here we thought, okay, we have got the product market fit. Now we can actually take the money and scale. We got that $1 million in bank. We were 2 people still because we thought, okay, once we get some money, we'll start hiring. And that's when we started looking at like, now we need to scale the company. The common thought process was like, okay, we get more engineers and start building the features. But then we realized this is something new, a new category. If we know exactly what to build, I think engineering part is a no-brainer. We can actually get more hands, we can get more people, and we can start building. But the most important for us was, because since we both were from engineering background, we were not that good at scaling the go-to-market model. That is, how do we generate the how do we create the demand? How do we create the leads? How do we convert them to opportunities? How do we do sales process, right? We did get 8 to 10 customers with hustle, but we wanted to create a repeated playbook which can be scaled. So we hired our first employee was a sales guy, second employee was a sales guy, third employee was the inbound marketer who would actually generate the demand by putting Google advertisements and all. So I started working with them. We got 10, 12 more customers. So we had now 20, 25 customers. Now it was a little difficult for my other co-founder alone to handle the engineering part. So we started adding more engineers. So we got first engineer, second, third engineer. So towards the end of 2015, I think we had like 30, 40 customers, each paying around $2,000 to $3,000 on an average, and with 8 to 10 people team. Now again, the second roadblock came there. We realized that customers are coming in, but after 8 to 10 months or 1 year, they are again churning out, right? Or some of them who are staying back, I think they're not seeing that value, or they're not that engaged. We started investigating like why this is happening. The reason was because most of these companies were, as I mentioned, was small businesses. Now, small businesses, their primary intention was actually to focus on growth of their own company, right? They wanted to look at the products, they want to look at the tools which can help them into growing their top of the funnel, growing their lead generation, growing their demand. But what Whatfix was helping them was to improve their onboarding, was there to improve their support by improve their offline training. Right. So what came up to them was like, second, to implement Whatfix, they had to create the content using Whatfix and then integrate. Now, when the company with 10, 15 people, then most of the focus was getting the new product, new customers, or building new features for the product. The onboarding part or the support part took a backseat. So for that size of company, what we realized over a period of time was that Whatfix is actually nice to have for them. It's not must have. It's like a vitamin, not a painkiller, right? So when something is like a vitamin or something is nice to have, people are not going to use for long, or they're going to use it maybe if they have more people, or out of 100 customers, maybe only, or 100 potential customers, only 3 or 4 or 10 might find it useful. Then majority bulk may not be serious about it. So that's the second major hurdle we saw in our journey. And towards early 2016, we started considering, is this the right segment to scale the company? So our product market fit assumption actually was wrong. We had a product, we had some set of customers paying, 20-25 customers were paying, but actually it was not a proper segment fit, right? So we started looking at segment, like, is this the right product we should continue as a company, or we should see different segment or different adjacent market which works. So as we started learning more, we realized that if the company size increases, there are dedicated product managers or dedicated people who are focused on onboarding. There are dedicated people who are focused on support or training. So that's where our fitment would be better. So we started going little up market, 100, 200, 300 people company, and started going behind the product owners. Can we sell Whatfix to them? And at that time, actually, we started realizing there's some competition as well in the other parts of the globe, which has come up. Maybe some had started a couple of years early. Some started maybe almost same time of us. Some started a little late. And they were also all targeting all the product as SaaS companies, consumer companies with a similar kind of feature set. Why we didn't realize those competitors early? Because there was no defined category. So we didn't even know what to call this category as. If I was building a help software, I would have called help desk, or I would have called support FAQ, what are the competition, or I would have searched for CRM if I was in the CRM space, or HCM into HCM space, or ERP. But there was no proper word even defined, right? So we were calling the process or the steps as a flows. One of our competitors was calling this walkthrough. Somebody was calling as a guidance, something else, right? So gradually we started learning from reading by TechCrunch or somewhere. We got to know there are some other players, and they were also trying to solve the similar problem statement. So when we went into this particular little up segment into product owners, we started realizing that when a dedicated product owner who is responsible for onboarding, their expectations also started differing. Like they would ask for more customization of features. They would ask for, can I integrate this with analytics, or do you give analytics inbuilt which is exhaustive? I want to understand the user journey, and based on the user journey, I want to trigger the walkthroughs or trigger these processes. I want the look and feel to be exactly aligned to my underlying platform. So a lot more customization expectations were there. Now, some of the other products which were a little early in the market, they had those features in a better way. So we were not winning as many deals, and we were kind of, again, we didn't have a good competitive what do you call it? So we didn't have a proper product market fit at this point. We had to add a lot more features there. During that time, actually, we also realized one more use case, that if I go a little further up market, let's say a company which is 1,000 people and all, those companies would implement a lot of enterprise softwares internally. That is, if a company is 1,000 people, they would have a couple of 100 people into sales. And for sales, they would have deployed a CRM like Microsoft Dynamics or Salesforce or something from SAP or so on. If the company is again 1,000 people, they would have deployed some HCM software for the employees, like a Workday or a SuccessFactors. So when these complex enterprise softwares get deployed, as per the process of the organization, they get tailored, right? And that's why this services company or system integrators like Infosys, Wipro, they have a huge practices catering to customization of this enterprise softwares, right? ERP, SCM, CRMs, and HCMs, and so on. So when they get customized, the default training or default help doesn't work that effectively. It has to be again tailored to the specific process of the company, and the training material also has to be delivered. Again, there are thousands of training and learning company, or even all these SIs have the training and learning branches which delivers all those. So when we realized that, okay, when this softwares like Salesforce get deployed in an organization, they are spending few $100,000 or $1 million to Salesforce To ensure the Salesforce is getting adopted, to ensure that employees are using it effectively, they would need a good onboarding solution. They would need a good training solution, which can be tailored and which can be contextual, which can be in application, not the traditional videos or FAQs and all. We participated in an event in the US called Dreamforce, which was one of the largest events of Salesforce. And that was the first time we started pitching Whatfix, a different use case to customers of Salesforce, saying, okay, you should use Whatfix to ensure that for your 500 users of Salesforce or 200 users of Salesforce, Whatfix can help you to adopt in a better way. That pitch, what I did on the first day of a Dreamforce in the morning, by the time I came out of the 3.5 days of that event, we did around 300 pitches live, people coming to a booth. And in 3.5 days, our pitch got so refined, we started realizing actually what would work for this particular customer base. We went back, we started tailoring our product to them, and we started thinking, okay, we will focus on this particular use case only. Now, Whatfix as a horizontal product can solve two problems. I can solve a problem of onboarding a user on a software, whether it is consumer software, banking software, or a SaaS software. Typically here, the buyer will be a product owner. Stakeholder will be a designer, marketer. Marketer would want to play around with A/B testing, what's working, what's not working. Product owner would like to see a lot more data analytics and say, okay, if the goals are not completed, I want to trigger this walkthroughs. Designer will say, underlying platform, I need exact look and feel. I want corners, colors, blah, blah. But when I go to this particular other use case, when I go to an enterprise, and if they have 30, 40 softwares deployed, which are complex, the responsible team is L&D, learning and development, or sales operations, or sales enablement, or HR operations, whose responsibility is to ensure that employees or the functions are using these softwares effectively and they're seeing the ROI. Now, this particular teams like L&D and enablement, they're not very tech savvy. If I go to them with a software saying that, okay, these are the CSS customization, these are the APIs you need to use, they will run away. But if I go to a product owner and I say, okay, these are the APIs you can extend to get your analytics. These are the APIs you can extend for your better CSS customization. They will say, fine, they are a product team, right? So they can get 2 engineers and they can get those done. So a complex authoring environment, a complex deployment environment, a complex customization is fine for them, but they really need a very heavy feature-rich product. Whereas here, they are fine on a Salesforce because there are 200 employees or sales guys using that software. They are fine if the tips are coming in an orange or a red, doesn't matter. They are not so bothered. Their intention is that are the sales guys using the Salesforce application effectively? Can they complete their task faster? Because if it is internal, customization is not my priority. I don't want any API which I need in engineering because I don't know whether an engineering will give me an effort or not. I might have to go to Accenture or Infosys, which will be costly affair. I want something which is easy to author, which is easy to deploy, and which is very easy to maintain. So we started building features considering this particular persona, and a lot of our competitors was focusing on the other persona. When we went deep into this persona, the new features we started coming out was Whatfix can now actually create this formats. Once you create the walkthrough, we can automatically convert them into PDF, slideshows, videos, which can be hosted in knowledge base, which can be hosted in LMS because organizations have those repositories. These L&D folks have spent a lot of effort in creating articles or training material, which is there in several years in those LMS knowledge base. Can I bring them back inside the application and show them contextually? My authoring should be only clicks. There should not be any APIs or CSS and all those, right? So when we started going deeper into that person and we started building some of the features, suddenly Whatfix started looking different to that persona when we started pitching to them. It looked simple. It looked easy to create and deploy quickly. Within 7 days, they used to go live. Whereas the competitive products, some of them who started a couple of years early, who had raised much more larger funding round, they started struggling against us for that particular use case, right? So the major learning here was like, within the whole market, if there are several use cases, if you identify the right segment, which you think you can compete or you can create a niche, and when you start going deeper, you will find more and more innovations, which can actually start making you differentiate. So with our large competitor, which has today raised $300 million, we were winning earlier 1 out of 10 deals. After going deeper and doing more innovation and differentiation, today we are winning 5 out of 10 deals against them. So we are almost equal in that particular segment. At some point, we were winning 1 deal out of 10, not only because some of the features, but also price point. If they were pricing 100K, we were pricing 60K. Now, if they are pricing 100K, and if you price 120K, we still win the deals, right? Second, when you go, when you go deep, and when you understand the value what you provide to your customers, you actually can understand what your price point should be. So if you remember the first few customers of Whatfix, we were charging $1,000 and then $2,000, $3,000 a year. Suddenly, when we started going to this segment, if a company like let's say MetLife or Facebook, if they are paying Salesforce for 5,000 users, $10 million to Salesforce for 5,000 seats or 5,000 user agents, they can easily pay $200,000, $300,000 a year to Whatfix so that the ROI on the Salesforce is optimal. Because they are spending 10 million, they don't want that get to waste, right? So where I was struggling for $2,000, $3,000, $4,000, $5,000, suddenly our price point started going really high. So if I have to go back here, so we started deep diving into specific use cases. So I would say the whole journey, like if I want to visualize, would be like a hourglass, right? Hourglass is very broad on the top, and when the sand starts falling, it starts narrowing down, right? So when you start a company, you have too many use cases, too many potential personas, too many different segments to target. You don't know which will work, which will not work, because many times we start company or start based on hypothesis or assumption. As you start learning from the market, you start narrowing down. Once you narrow down, your velocity increases dramatically, and you really go fast. And that's what happened with Whatfix, right? From 3-4 years, which took us to get few $100,000 revenue. Suddenly, once we got this real product market fit with a good pricing advantage, we started growing really fast, right? So from 4-5 years, it took us to get to first million. From 1 million to 10 million, it just took 2 years. Like from 1 to 3, 3 to 9. It was one of the top fastest growth in this in SaaS category globally. We had the top quartile growth we had, and that also followed with a lot of money, right? So when we went to investors in the first case, saying, okay, Whatfix can be used for SaaS companies, we estimated, okay, there are 10,000 good SaaS companies in the world. Each one can pay us maximum $5,000 to $10,000. My potential market size is $100 million. Many of the investors, most of the investors actually asked us to go back, saying, okay, you're wasting your time. For 100 million market size, I don't want to invest. I don't want to waste my time. Market size has to be at least $1 billion. Same product. We didn't even realize the other use case because we didn't have exposure. And when we realized the other use case, now see the way how we pitch or how market size is realized today. Every enterprise company which is more than 5,000 employees would have more than 100 enterprise softwares deployed, like HCM, ERP, supply chain, CPQ, CLM, and so on. Whatfix can be easily applied to 40 or 50 of those softwares in every enterprise company. And that means every enterprise company which is more than 5,000 employee is worth a couple of $1 million a year to us. Now, suddenly when I start multiplying this, my addressable market size comes to $8 to $10 billion. Now, when I go to investors today, they say, let's not waste time on discussing the market size we know. You tell us how you're going to use the money. So suddenly when I was struggling to get the price points, I was struggling to compete with the competitors on the features. I have enough price leverage. I am winning a lot of deals. Investors are ready to pump in the money. So within 2 years, we have raised now almost like $50 million from investors like Cisco Investments, Sequoia, Fidelity Investment Groups, 8 Roads, Dragoneer, Helion, Stellaris, several of them. And with the price point advantage, having the company based out of India, such a huge cash efficiency we can have that most of the money keeps lying in the bank, right? So our cash efficiency is like for every dollar what we spend, we actually earning $2 back. So we hardly need actually funding in that way. We have a lifeline for like 5-6 years for whatever money we have from investors in bank today, right? So coming back to that funnel, so once your velocity increases, at some point you would realize that, okay, now you need to add more use cases that when you start broadening. So today we are at the stage where we think, okay, 1 to 10 million is fine. Now, how do I go from 15, 20 million to 50, $100 million, right? I might want to add more product lines. I might want to add more use cases. So now we are looking at specific use cases, like, can I do something for contact centers? Can I help those agents? Can I do something on desktop? Can I do something on mobile? So now we have almost like 100 people engineering team, which we are scaling to 200, so that we can fork many of those products and we start scaling rapidly. We started multiple offices, like we have office in US and Australia, now UK, and so on. But this was possible only by deep diving, narrowing down the focus, and actually, of course, perseverance. Like nothing came overnight. Initial part was hard. We had to unlearn a lot of things we had learned in enterprise. If I would repeat, I would do this MVP, basically identify my hypothesis, put a mock-up, put a wireframe, go back to the customers, bounce off with them, and then actually build. So before even writing a code, it's better to validate actually. If I would have done that, maybe I would have saved at least a couple of years of our journey so much. This is Whatfix as of today. We call it, the category has been now defined. Likes of Gartners, Forresters, IDCs have recognized this category. There are no Magic Quadrants yet, and another year should be there. The category name is digital adoption. As a company, what we define ourselves is we are a digital adoption platform, which is $8 to $10 billion category. We want to disrupt the way application training and learning has been done by providing contextual in-app guidance. We have got 500 plus customers. 100 of Fortune 1000 customers are 100 of Fortune 1000 companies are using us. Since many of these large Fortune companies are using, we have to be enterprise grade. So we have certified ourselves like ISO, SOC, GDPR. I was mentioning about employees, and we have like 325 employees today, spread across USA, UK, India. We have 3 buildings in HSR, and then customer service. We can afford to add more people and actually ensure the service is top notch. It has become another differentiator for us, and we've been recognized by most of the analysts globally. Yeah, I think that's a quick journey. Happy to.
Thanks.
So we do have a question.
Yeah.
Thanks, Khadim. And I think we have a few questions which we can share. So before that, I think life's lessons for younger ones is definitely amazing. So the whole idea also was, I think you have epitomed that, entrepreneurship, a lot of people call it a sprint or a 100-meter race, right? I think it's definitely not a 100-meter race. It's a 42-kilometer marathon, or it's Ironman, right? And you are the epitome of it when you said that, it took you years and it took perseverance. Wow.
I like this one actually. Right? So entrepreneurship is this one actually. This is awesome actually. Entrepreneurship is living a few years of life like most people want, so that you can spend the rest of your life. Most people can't. I love this.
I think that's the very epitome of what you said, and I think it's quite very, very inspirational. On that note, we have a few questions. You can put them out, and I think Sumuk also will assist us. But one thing is that like one more point I would wanted to pick on your brain before we get into the questions was, like you rightly said, that co-founders, both of you were from the technology background. So what is the one piece of advice? Do you think that if one is from management background, one is from technology, and one is from commerce or anything else, would this combination work? I mean, how do you get to such kind of teams, or what is your advice on that?
Yeah. So I think a complementary skill sets are always better, right? If both the guys are having strengths on exactly the same area, sometimes they debate. Maybe there'll be too much of arguments also. So complementary always works. But at the end of the day, it's all about how much understanding they have, right? Because they should have discipline. Like it's a long journey, right? It's not like 6 months you will get something and you will become a millionaire or something like that. That motivation should not be there. The motivation should we build something fundamentally correct, right? So foundation should be really strong so that I can build a large company at some point, right? In between, definitely you might get chance to flip. So understanding between both the founders, that they are there for long term, they can complement each other. I think those are very, very crucial. So me and my co-founder, when I realized that we both were from engineering background, but I realized he was a better engineer than me in terms of programming. So I took the other hat, right? And I was more in terms of I was relatively better than him in terms of public speaking or going and selling. I thought I can build a relationship or rapport better. So I thought, let me wear that hat. So I started looking at like he builds, I sell. Even though we both came from the same background, if we both were doing only building, then who would have sold, right? And that was one of the major mistakes people do. If both are engineers, they say, let's build. And if we keep building, they assume that customers will come, but customers doesn't come unless the product is really viral, or you have to sell actually, if it's specifically for enterprise or other software products. So complementary is always better. Even if you have the similar skill sets, one of them have to take the different role and then deep dive. Nothing like deep diving, learning, talking to more people. Till today, every quarter, at least I speak to 3 to 4 different founders who have gone one step ahead of us. And in every meeting, something I learn. So, which is something which I don't know. So I'll tell you one small thing, like take a circle, right? Or and then you take some couple of pies out of it, like 10%, 10%, or 15%, 15%, small cakes out of it. So the first 15% is the stuff which I know. The second 15% is the stuff which I know that I don't know. And this is what you will typically Google, you will ask. Because I know that I don't know, so I need to learn that. But the big Pac-Man, right?
Yeah.
Is the one which I don't know that I don't know. How will you learn that? Right? For that, you need somebody to point out to you, right? So that's when you talk to experts, when you talk to experienced people, when you have a coffee with them for 45 minutes, in every meeting you learn at least one thing which you had never thought about. And when you go back, you are much better than what you were before.
Well, I think that's a very, very, valid piece of advice. I've always said the same. So I used to head the youth wing of Rotary, as I was telling you. I mean, you learn at various levels, right? And each time you go to a level, like you said, it's relentless positive optimism of such people like you who have achieved scale, but you're still telling people that, there is many more miles to go. And, I think it's telling that entrepreneurship is not like a slot machine, but it is just, a long time. On that note, one of the questions that came in says, sir, I have a product which has exponential change of growth. If accepted, I say accepted because this idea may stand as a compulsion on some customers. So what should we do? For details, our product grows with the growth of the industry. With whom shall we collaborate? So that's one of the questions that has come. If you can look into that.
I'm a little confused with the question. I
say. So I would maybe say that if there is a compulsion on customers, what should we do? How do we look into this? That if you have a product and it has exponential chance of growth and it is accepted, how do I go ahead?
So I think some of the things which I understood, which if you have heard about what I told about the initial journey, right? So maybe you have an assumption here, you have an hypothesis here that okay, this product is maybe compliance level necessary for an industry, or it might be mandatory for those particular industries. So there's an exponential growth possible. Now this is your assumption. Now, do you really know the other side is thinking the same way you are thinking? So best way is actually to assume that you have a product. Assume you have a product. Create a deck. Create a 10-slide PPT. Go to 3 potential customers. Think from that customers, who are the guys who would resonate, who would write the check for this? Is it a procurement department? Is it your supplier department? Is it the sales department? Identify those. Use professors or Sadhgopal, someone to get connected. Go and get the 30 minutes and pitch, thinking that you have a product, and say, this is what I am delivering. This is my product. See how's the reaction. Do they say, no, I don't need this? Do they say, no, I already have this? Once you do this pitch for 5 people, you will know is exactly fits as it is. It doesn't fit at all, or you're completely thinking differently, or you need to vary your pitch. Once you get that idea, just go back and build.
Right, sir. So I think we have another question, which basically says, my idea is in the medical field and its application is actually very large. So what is the kind of validation that we do according to levels? So should we market according to a basic stage product, or should we update with marketing along we grow?
So medical would vertical would have its own compliances and need, right? So I might not be the right person to exactly answer. I might answer more generic stuff, not specific to medical.
Absolutely.
So right. So basically I'm assuming here that you don't have any customers today, right? So I would again go back to my previous answer. Identify 3-4 customers, go and sell them first. Don't even think about scalable marketing at this point. Validate, get the right 4-5 customers, see whether it's benefiting or not. Once you get that okay, your product is working, people are ready to pay, you have few customers, their response is good, they're engaged, then you start thinking about how do I scale my marketing. So if I take back my initial example of Whatfix, after I got my 10 customers, I got a couple of more sales guys, I got my marketer. The marketer started doing some demand gen after that in terms of advertisements and all. Okay. But before that, actually, I already had 10 customers. And that 10 customers, how did I get it? I got it by outbound. My co-founder was getting me emails. I used to personalize each email and sending to those potential customers, all manual. I know this would not scale. If I had to get a large base of customers, I need to spend a lot of money on Google Ads. I need to spend a lot of money on events, webinars. But initially, I do something which it's fine. We will not scale, but I will get quick feedback. I will get quick validations. But once I validate, then you start thinking about scalability. Then you start scaling about going big into the market.
Right, sir. Right. So we have another question, sir, which says, our product is technically complete. What are the other factors that we need to enter into market?
So technically complete is again your assumption. I think you need to go and see whether customers think that is sufficient enough for them for deriving the ROI, right? So again, I'm going back again to the same basic fundamentals, right? And the topic of the session itself is MVP, minimum viable product, right? Your product, does it deliver minimum features for your customers to derive value, right? So assume you have that, then the next step for you is PMF, product market fit, right? You have a product, which market you want to cater to. Within that market, which industry, which persona, which buyer persona you want to go, whether they are going to ready to pay for your product, that price point, is it unit economically positive so that you can scale the company? Once you get that loop, that is where you achieve product market fit and you start scaling, right? So you might have a good technical product. I would say don't waste any more time in adding more features, go to market, start bouncing off with potential customers.
So I want to actually second you on that point, Khadim. So you spoke about something that look at a mock-up, do a wireframe, build and validate. Because like you said, I mean, in my previous avatar, I also was an entrepreneur before this. And like you said, there's a lot of, one thing if you ask me, if I would have wished, is the same thing. We thought that we have to build in a lot of features and then get to market. But you perfectly said, I mean, I think it's the first thing that you do the mock-up, you do the wireframe, you build and you go to the market first. And I think the features can be added on later, right? Can you little bit elaborate on that, on how important it is to do that part is, I think, very important.
I think I lost 3 years of my life because I didn't follow that. It is how important it is. If I would have go back 3 years, I would have been 3 years early into the market. My competition would have been even smaller. I could have become $1 billion company already by now, right? So that sometimes that opportunity cost is too high. Right? Okay. Ignoring that, actually, typically as an engineer, we fear rejections. Engineers don't like rejections, actually, right? We always been most of the guys will be toppers in the schools, and so they don't want to get rejected. Sales is a job where out of 10, 9 people will say bluntly no. I don't care what you have, right? But you need one yes. So out of every 10 pitch, if one guy buys, it's fine, right? Because there are thousands of potential customers. Same way with venture capitalists, right? You don't need every VC to say yes to you. You need one VC to say yes and 9 say no. That's fine, right? So when you change yourself to as a founder pitching to VC or to pitching to customers, you start accepting no's, right? Which most of us don't like it. That's where we convince ourselves. Confirmation bias is there in ours. If I add 3 more features, I will not see no and I will go to market. And once you build those 3 features, you will want to build another 3. After that, you will want to build another 3. You will keep giving excuses to yourself that I will build more, and I will get acceptance to the market. But that's not the fact. Just build mockup, wireframe, or just build a PPT. If it's an enterprise software, build a PPT. If it's a SMB product, build a wireframe mockup. Give your confidence to yourself that, okay, my product is ready. Assume that. Go and pitch confidently. Believe me, there will be potential customers who will be ready to write check or commit. So in Search Enabler, I had same mistake. We built for a year without validating the market, and I had to throw away 50% features, and I wasted 2-3 years. We learned that in Whatfix. We created the landing page. We had a basic prototype of a community model, but the actual enterprise version was not ready. We created a landing page. We started marketing that. First customer gave us $1,000. We took 3 weeks time. That we told them that our product is in testing. We'll get it in 3 weeks. In fact, it was not in testing. We went back and we started coding.
Right, sir. I think we have another question on the lines of validation. It says, can a pitch deck only help, or should we prepare a product at the proof of concept level?
So there is a lot of ifs and buts here, actually, right? So there's no straightforward answer. I think it all depends on the segment. It all depends on buyer persona you have. If you are looking at enterprise, let's say, if Oracle, what Oracle sells today, for example, or Salesforce sells today, they would never give you demo. Actually, they would only give you pitch. They will only give you deck. Okay, so if you are selling to an enterprise, larger enterprise software, let's say security software or a software for 1,000 plus, 500 plus people company, deck is enough. But if you're selling to maybe SMB, and they generally are quick in making decisions, right? So enterprise, how the enterprise decision making happens? You give first meeting. In first meeting, you give an overview of a product, again a deck. They call a larger group of people. Again, you give a deck. Then they will identify 2-3 people who will do POC. That's when people want to see the product. Then they will have IT compliance, security compliance, blah, blah, blah. But when you go to small business, a 20 people company, the decision making will be quick, right? When they see the product, they try it and they'll buy it. So maybe in that case, if you have a mock-up, it helps for them to visualize quickly. Okay, this is what the product, this is how you're going to use it, this is how you're going to derive value. They will say, okay, this looks good, how much it is? And then 3 days they'll make maybe 3 days they will make a decision. So depending on which segment, which persona you're selling, I think either deck or mock-up or combination should work. But still, product is not necessary.
So one more thing that some of them are very keen on is that how did you keep financing a business since the initial stage may not be profitable? And do you think the surrounding you grew up or lived in influenced your journey? I would maybe add on, say, put it as the ecosystem. So how important is the ecosystem to help you?
Maybe I think there are 2 parts of questions here, actually. How the ecosystem can help and how do you keep yourself afloat without raising money, or if you don't have enough money, right? So I don't know. I think a lot of people might be reading some entrepreneurship stuff, right? So they call, what do you call that? You need to live on ramen, right? Noodles, right? So generally, first thing is founders don't take any salaries, right? So what helped me and my co-founder, when we left our previous job, we both of us didn't have any liabilities. We didn't have loans. So it was not because we were rich. It was because we wanted to do something. So I never bought my house or car. So when you don't buy a house or car, then you don't have EMIs. When you don't have EMIs, you only bother about your monthly expenses. That, okay, I need 25,000 for my monthly expense of my rent or whatever it is. So that much of my liability goes down. So I need to bother, like if I want to survive for a year, I need just maybe 3 lakhs. Right? So that's first piece. The second piece is what? Like if you're coding yourself, then you don't have to pay anyone else for programming. If you're marketing yourself or doing sales yourself, again, you don't have to pay that salary. So basically, you're 2 or 3 founders. If you can give yourself 18 months of time, 12 to 18 months of your time, I think you need that much time to survive, that much money to survive, right? That's one. Once you start getting customers, right? So if it's an enterprise software, if you start getting $5,000 or $7,000 or $8,000, somebody starts paying, even though let's say product can be valued at 50, 60K a year, but the first few customers will pay you less, right? Because you also want to just validate. If somebody pays you $5,000 also initially, and if you get 5 to 10 customers in 6 months, that's around $50,000, $60,000. That's 30, 40 lakhs, right? I think you can easily start maybe taking 30, 40,000 for yourself, and you can maybe even recruit 1 or 2 people. right? Definitely, like in early days when we wanted to recruit from triple IT, we couldn't because everybody was expecting 15-20 lakh salary to start with. But you have to go somewhere else, or you have to really make them excited to work for your vision, right? You can give them equity. You can give equity less salary so that they can also be part of your journey. So once you get that momentum, actually, you can start living and scaling based on that money what you're getting from customers. So that's what called as a bootstrap. And many companies have become big, being bootstrap. Right? In India, we have a big example like Zoho. So multi-billion company, $400-500 million revenue. Atlassian till long time they didn't raise funding. Right, so there are several examples globally where companies are built bootstrap. It's possible if you can actually hustle, if you can start growing based on customers' money, right? So once you and once you have a few customers, 10-15 customers, and you have identified a good use case where the market size is big, even VCs would be ready to fund you, right? So you can raise a couple of $100,000 or $1 million. There are different stages of VC. Angels are there, seed funds are there. Venture funds are there. So different stages, different funds are there, which can actually get you the money and you can start scaling, right? So I think that's all possible. So for us also, in terms of profitability, how do you look at it, right? Even I think this question might be there. Like, how do you look at profitability? Do you really want to become as a profitable company? When you're bootstrapped, when you have not taken any funding, you want to be cash flow positive, right? But when you are funded, right, you run in losses. But does it mean, why would somebody invest in a loss-making company? So at least I can answer from a SaaS or enterprise company perspective. So I'll give an example. Divide the whole company into 3 buckets. You have R&D, where you're building features or product, which can be used for 10-15 years, right? So then the second one is your sales and marketing cost. Basically, you can call that as a customer acquisition cost. Like whatever spend you do in sales and marketing is actually counted as cost for acquiring a customer. And the third one is your hosting cost, your customer support cost, your customer service or implementation cost and all. That is the cost for servicing a customer, right? So these are the primarily 3 major buckets. Now, if I'm spending, let's say $100 to get Google ads and get some lead, my sales guy is giving demo, so sales guy's salary, and then a sales engineer and all this. So I spend, let's say, $5,000 for acquiring one customer. That is sales salary, marketing salary, all sales tools, marketing tools, advertisement cost. So if I'm getting, let's say, 10 customers in a quarter, and I'm spending $50,000 for all this. So that is $5,000 per customer. And each customer, let's say, is paying me $8,000. So the 10 customer dollars are going to pay me $80,000 over a period of year, right? So if I just look at the year-long lifetime of a customer, actually I might make additional $30,000, ignoring service cost and R&D cost, right? So now that is for year 1. Now, what does it mean SaaS? SaaS means subscription. Out of this 10 customers, assuming that 8 customers will renew next year, 2 will, let's say, drop. Now the second year, you're not spending acquisition cost. So now that 8 customers are paying you again $8,000, so $64,000 you're getting in second year. Now first and second year, you're paying only service cost again, right? The second year, you're only paying service cost. So service cost might be, let's say, typically 15-20% of the total customer's cost. So the remaining is your gross margin. In the first year, you didn't earn anything because you spent $5,000 on your acquisition, $2,000-3,000, maybe $1,000 on your customer service, and ignoring R&D. So basically, you're not earning anything. Second year, service cost is $1,000, $7,000 is a profit. Third year, if they stay back, fifth year, if they continue, I think you're making a lot of money over a period of time. So if you get upfront, if you get upfront a couple of $1 million, you spend a lot of money in acquiring customers. In year 3, 4, 5, 6, you start making a lot of profits. So this is what called unit economics. So for every unit of acquiring a customer and servicing them, is it profitable? On books, yeah, it looks profitable. So I can actually invest more capital so that I can scale rapidly and focus on getting more market share rather than making it profitable on a cash flow perspective today, because that's not a priority. Because market is big, I want to run fast. And R&D cost can be amortized over a period of 10 years because every feature I build will be used across thousands of customers in a period of 10 years. I don't have to make it profitable today. So for that purpose, you can take maybe VC and you can actually really go fast. Coming back to, the ecosystem part, right? So ecosystem actually helps a lot. Like I took investments not only from VCs, I took investment from some of the angels, like Freshworks, Girish, founder, he's my investor. Capillary Anish is my investor. So there are few angel investors who have built the company, Shadi.com, Anupam Mittal, some from US, VPs of some good companies, because I want to learn from them. If they are already 3 steps ahead of them, I need to have a right to give them a phone call and say, Girish, I'm having this problem. What do you suggest? Right? VCs who have seen several companies build, I want them to be on my board so they can actually mentor me. They can advise me like what to do, what not to do. They can connect me. Right. Apart from that, a lot of companies have been built to substantial level, right? When 5 years, 7 years back, I didn't even know that can we sell to enterprise company like Amazon, Facebook, NASA sitting out of India. Now, many companies have done that. So you can sit with them, have a coffee and learn that playbook, what works, what doesn't work. So the more company comes up, the more better ecosystem happens, the more angel investors will come. I think that will cascade and it will help everyone.
Very nice. So on a closing note, also wanted to ask, so some of them were asking that, do you start a company now? Now is the trend to start a company fresh out of college or take a few years of experience and then do entrepreneurship, because a lot of them are also bound by a few family responsibilities and a lot of parents in India have a say, right? So what is the advice to such entrepreneurs? Because I've also come across many who come to the Innovation Center and ask us that, can I start out of college, or do you think I should, wait or, get a job and then do it? So what is your take on that? I know it's both sides, but we would love to hear from you.
So grass is always green on the other side, right? So if I am a fresher, I am out of college, I would think I would gain some experience, I would have some money in bank, and then I would do it, right? Because I would have some financial independence. That's what I would think. But when I started a company, I was thinking the other way around. When I should have started immediately after IIITB, right? Now I have 2 kids, I have a family to support, I have rent to pay, I have school fees to pay. It's hard, right? When just out of college, I had nothing to lose. Maybe 2 years, I could have actually tried out what. See, if I am from IIIT, if I'm from some good colleges, I don't have to plan B, right? If it doesn't work. I'll get a job easily, right? So I think you will learn a lot more in a startup. So my advice, actually, I'm always biased to start early. Okay, as long as you can iterate and learn more, I think nothing to lose actually, right? But if you spend time in corporate world, right, or if you get a job, sometimes it's a vicious cycle. Once you get 3 years, your parents will force you to get the job. After that, they will say, okay, now before getting married, book a flat, get a car, get an EMI. You will say, I'll fill it up in next 5 years. So somewhere you have to decide, right? Okay, it's fine. I'm not saying you do it now. You can do it now. You can do it after 3 years. You need to do it 5 years. People have done, like McDonald guy has done after like 45 years, right? So it's possible. Every time it's possible. There's no bad time to start. The most difficult part of a startup is starting up. You make up your mind and start.
Thank you so much for that note, and thank you for this time. It's very valuable, Khadim, for spending this time and giving your thoughts for this. So bootcamp. So we've structured this as an aspiring entrepreneurs bootcamp. So wherein we have sessions over the about 15-20 days for them to learn on various aspects. And what more could we ask for than our very own Alom and you coming and sharing your thoughts and views and your advice. On behalf of IMACX, our IIITB Innovation Center and IIITB would wholeheartedly thank you for taking this time off and being with us.
My pleasure, and all the best to everyone. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn or my email ID, khadim@whatfix.com. Happy to help, guys.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so much.